my mom like connected the dots with something that I've been working on, which was like really cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't want to crowd surf and like it just happens. And it took me a while to just like admit it, but like I always loved.
Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About YouABQ.
Oh, that's right. It is all about YouABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, and lifestyle so that you walk away with some value, feeling inspired. Now, the way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out on our social media tag up here or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, home loan expert.
You probably recognize Grant as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team. Now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage space.
And you've seen Skip on HGTV's House Hunters, and he's part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in the city.
Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Not only, it's our 100th episode. And you were probably thinking, who would you want to have as a guest on your 100th episode? Well, I'm pleased to introduce Tim Keller, Mayor of Albuquerque. Mayor Tim Keller, he's running up for re-election this year, aiming for a historic third term in the upcoming November mayoral election. Mr. Keller, welcome to the show.
Great to be here on 100th. Happy 100th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
We wouldn't have it any other way.
Great job with those hockey jerseys. The UNM hockey jerseys are like the coolest jersey.
Thank you for saying that.
Perfect segue.
I designed that. Actually,
I want one. I don't even know where to get them. How do I get one of those?
Actually, it's so funny. I don't know if you've been set up, but I got you one.
No way,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
in fact, Amanda will bring it out here shortly. But let's...
I really thought he was just like someone
guys are
cute.
good.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, look at you guys are on the same page.
Wow.
See, this is why we have the big ratings, Mayor Keller.
Yeah.
But real quick, before we get started, I want to run through your resume. So, Eagle Scout, St. Pius High quarterback, University of Notre Dame, MBA with honors at Harvard Business School, and a state senator, and now the mayor of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I mean, you got me beat. I went to La Cueva, was like a minor league baseball player. But
You beat us in every sport. So,
We didn't know that about you till we researched a little bit. I think that you're a humble guy. I think we should brag for you in your commercials, and then you can look like, oh, these guys got carried away. But I think we should brag about it because these are things that are noteworthy to me, and I don't think a lot of people know that. I didn't know you were a quarterback. Like, yeah, people like their jocks and they like their animal people because you're an animal person, right? You're your composition is well-rounded, I would say.
Yeah,
and I appreciate it.
And people like St. Pius. Who doesn't like St. Pius?
Yeah,
like the whole town.
No, that's not true. It's changed its tune. Yeah.
No, but
we all have our high school rivalries. But
well, it's funny. He was a Cibola kid. He was a West Sider. I was an East Side guy at La Cueva. So there's always that underlying rivalry. So we always like to see who's on the show, what part of town they're in.
He actually becomes a real elitist and a snob. It has that
we
tone.
can debate this.
Yeah.
That's why I like to remind people I was the first Pius class on the West Side.
Yeah.
So like our whole crew was West Mesa and Cibola.
Yeah. We appreciate your kind.
You know, it's like. But yeah, growing up here is an amazing thing, and especially back then, I'm sure it's still true, but there were fewer high schools. Mm-hmm. There was a smaller population, and so like everyone kind of also knew each other. I mean, we could do another episode on,
and everyone's related
degrees
too.
of separation, yeah, and that kind of thing. It's awesome. It's a great place to grow up.
I remember Doogie Howser and Freddie Prince were at the hockey games up at Outpost when I was a kid, and they were in high school.
Oh, La Cueva kids? Yeah, I've heard of them. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, and then they got out of there.
No, but the premise of the show is we always want to talk to people that grew up here, had some success, moved away for a little bit, and had some experience in a bigger city or saw how things are run in different cities. And then the question is, what the hell brought you back to Albuquerque?
We went to South Bend, the highest population city in the United States.
South Bend Silverhawks, though.
I went to a Silverhawks game.
Yeah, that's where I started my career.
Pretty well run. Yeah. Did you play there?
Yeah, I was. So I had a small career with the Padres, and so that was my first year with the Padres. We played. I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but we played in South Bend.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, we went to a few games, and for I think it was single A or double A, but yeah, like a really good. I was like, okay, this is like the Dukes, but like smaller, and it was cool.
Yeah, it's always a fun time. But so the question is, you know, you've gotten to see other, you know, maybe some bigger cities, you know, had some life experience outside of Albuquerque. What were you nostalgic for Albuquerque? What brought you back?
You know, for me, it was fascinating because I think, look, like a lot of people who, you know, not everyone, but some people who grow up here, like you just want to see some other stuff. You've been here your whole life, and you know, you really sort of crave that exposure. So, you know, I was like, all right, I'm going to go see the world and that kind of stuff. And I did for like 10 years. But every year I was gone, I actually appreciated and missed New Mexico more. I mean, it was almost like literal to the point where at the 10-year mark, I was like, I'm leaving my job, breaking up with my girlfriend, and I'm just moving back home. So it like called me back, and I learned by being gone how special this place is. And for me too, I had always been interested in government. I mean, I was kind of a government dork as a kid. So, you know, I always wanted to work in government. And just as a person trying to like find your career, that was also what I was like, you know what? I've wanted to do two things as a young adult, like as a 20-something. Move back home and get involved in government. Yeah. And finally, I had to just do it cold turkey. You know, I just straight up like left everything in about a week's notice, which is I would not recommend professionally.
You know, he left.
And I restarted back home.
He left the same way I left Kansas. I said, I'm going to my girlfriend. I'm going home. Why? What happened? I just have to go back home, and we can't be an item anymore. And that was that. And there's a bunch of harassing voicemails later, and we kind of vacated town, an Irish goodbye.
No, that's great.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to pull the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, rip it off, right?
Yeah, just I totally course correct and get back home.
I lived in San Diego for a while, and in fact, that's where I met my wife. And you know, one day we were like, God, it's so hard to get ahead in San Diego. Everything's so expensive.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you think about New Mexico? She goes, I love New Mexico. Let's go. And I was like, oh,
that's
okay.
awesome.
I guess we're going. And so the question I always got was, how could you leave San Diego for Albuquerque? And I was like, well, I wasn't a millionaire living on the beach, and terrible at surfing. I like the mountains, and so for me it made sense. And so we moved back here and started a family.
He kind of ruined. So he moved out there, and I go, all right, my man's out there. We're going, you know, we're going to San Diego, and he gets hitched up in 2 weeks. I got a girlfriend now. I go, this has ruined everything. You've ruined my life. You've ruined your life. Yeah. And so but we still had some fun. But you imagine my ambition. I'm like, oh, okay, I found someone. I go, ready? Just keep looking a little bit longer. But actually, no, I actually officiated their wedding. Shout out to Ashley.
Intern Ashley.
There's one New Mexican restaurant in San Diego. I don't know if it was there when you were there, but I was there at like a conference, and everyone was so excited about this new trendy restaurant. And so I'm like, that sounds cool. And it was New Mexican food and flamenco. And I was like, I wonderfully get to experience this all the time. Why am I here in San Diego? But that's what everyone else who is from other places, like that's what they picked.
Well, people from all over the world are starting to discover Albuquerque and the fact that we're the last affordable city in the Southwest. Typically, we have, you know, a net population. We're not huge like Denver, Dallas, Phoenix, and you can actually afford to buy a house. And so people are like,
you're not sitting around in traffic. That's like another thing. Is like your whole life is a commute. Even in Denver, it's so tough.
It's hard to get around there now. Yeah, I call it a quality of life. And when you spend 2 hours in traffic, I think you think about your life daily. Am I meant to be in a car this long? Should I do this tomorrow? How much longer can I take? And will the airbags go off if I keep punching my steering wheel long enough? I feel like a lot of people who have taken off and come back here, you start to appreciate Albuquerque. And it could be that stigma of, oh, this place is boring, but you go away and you find out the cool qualities of a quaint city, or having a balloon fiesta. I avoided the balloon fiesta for 20 years because I was so sick of it causing traffic. And then I go, you know what? We've got some pretty cool stuff here. And I start looking at the mountains again, you know? I guess it took a long time for me to become an adult. But I started to realize all the traits that we have that other places don't have. That the flat landscape in the Midwest is just, I mean, you saw that. It's the water towers and maybe a pine tree.
Yeah, and some strip centers. Amanda, let's bring that jersey out. So we got the special.
This is amazing. Like that was not
sweater.
Scripted. Like I'm floored because I've been trying to get one of these.
Oh, okay.
I went to a Ice Wolves game. Yeah. And then I saw the Lobo game, and I was like, "That's the coolest jersey."
Funny thing about the Ice Wolves, and I don't even
show it off to the camera. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's the slickest jersey in town.
Yeah, it is. Our logo was so cool, and when we play other colleges, and hockey's a trash talking town or a sport, but the other team goes, "Hey, your jerseys are pretty sick."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we actually did did an old Lobo Louis one too from the 50s, and we have a turquoise one. We retired that one.
Yeah,
though.
nice.
That was a special one. But the Lobo, I think people from other states always know the Lobos, right? I mean,
It's
we
the
have a
pit,
presence in a
The
way.
pit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the reason we moved back to Albuquerque was to start a family, and I know you're a family man. So I guess one of the questions I have is being mayor. How is maybe becoming a father, or how does being a dad? How does that affect your day-to-day being a mayor? Does it kind of give you a different vision on decisions, stuff like that?
I mean, look, everyone has their own experience, and it's going to impact their job, and it's no different as mayor. But I think I have young kids, and so I think it particularly that really impacts, like, one is just the rhythm of the day. Like, I'm doing drop off in the morning, wife and I are constantly doing logistics with our kids, which like most families are. It's just a little more complicated with like the mayoral schedule. And, so far we have not left our kids at school yet. And we're already in 6th grade. So we feel pretty good about that, but and then they're in 2 different schools. So we're trying to figure that out. So there's a lot of that, and then if they play sports, it's a whole thing. I mean, it's just part of life. But what you notice, right, I'm definitely much more attuned to our schools. My kids are in public school, and just what's happening there, what the issues are. And of course, too, the things that kids do. So like, I have never paid so much attention to playgrounds in my life. Like, I now know literally almost every park in the city. I think I've been to them all.
That's great.
And when I go, I'm like, this zip line's broken, and that slide my kid got stuck on, and this drinking fountain doesn't work. So all that stuff kind of comes together. But the other thing is events, like what kids enjoy about the city through their eyes is really fascinating. They're, at least, I mean, every kids are different, but, they do love the different festivals and things, but like the smaller ones. So they love like Balloon Fiesta, but it's more like the little community events that they really get
Face
into.
painting, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
The community center-based stuff?
Totally.
Yeah.
Whether it's at our community centers or it's the different, like a smaller block party, different things that are happening downtown. They love that, especially when there's little kids sections and things like that. And even at the airport, they're the first ones to tell me, like, why don't you have a playground in the airport? That is a really good idea. And we're working on it, And so those things, you certainly notice it. But even things like gym space. We have so many athletic, tournaments and leagues and all this. There's this fight all over the city for field space, and then adult sports. So then you can't find, like, your adult league has nowhere to practice rugby and like all this stuff. And so that all gets layered in. So when we're doing our park redesigns, it's like, well, can we add an extra athletic field? And what are our hours? And how are we making this more convenient on the website? So it's a rabbit trail that takes you into like everything.
It's probably
and after school care,
Yeah, of
before
course.
school care.
a good way to take inventory of your parks too, right? So this has brought to your attention and there's some familiarity. Well, I've been there. Okay, this is lacking, and you know firsthand. I always hate to see basketball hoops just down and stuff, and then they go, I guess we can't use that park. And I don't think that's the way.
Good at that.
No,
But
it's true. It's true. It used to be like that.
We didn't used to.
There
We
used
had
to be
no
no
drinking
nets and stuff
fountains
like that,
worked.
right? Yeah, and that's a
now
big
we have
deal.
70.
Yeah.
I track it.
So I would have to say, I'm going to lead you into a question that I know the answer. So what got you into being civic duty minded, right? You grew up doing philanthropic actions from probably Boy Scouts,
Eagle
right?
Scouts, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for me, it was a combination of things. I was certainly like exposed to just community service a lot, both from my family and like things like the Boy Scouts and like things like that. So that was certainly part of growing up here. But I also just had a love of like government. Like I was in student council and. And I loved, I used to watch like government TV. I mean, I'm not kidding. I would come home from being downtown and like partying, and I would have a microwave pizza, because that's what I like. And it's like 1 o'clock, and I would watch city council meetings.
Just to see how
Like,
everybody
I'm not
interacts,
kidding. Like,
see how it works.
And it took me a while to just like admit it, but like I always loved government. And so, that's so something too is like just weirdly inherent. Like people who've known me since I was a little kid, they're like, yeah, you told me you wanted to run for mayor when you were in 4th grade. I was
That's
like,
amazing.
I did? That's really weird. But now it makes sense.
When you watch some of those, what would they say, town hall meetings or whatever, you get your finger on the pulse about what people are up to and what their sentiment is. And then there's obviously the ones that feel maybe more compelled to speak on the other end of the spectrum where, maybe it's
You
a
can
little
say
bit,
it.
you
You
know,
can say it.
maybe it's some crazy talk, you know, but you still
They're
get
not for everyone. Like, I don't recommend people like necessarily watch
no.
all
But,
the drama.
no,
know,
but you would
I
see,
like it.
you would
I
see
like
that these people were out there, and there's some concerns, and for every one lunatic, there was probably some people voicing something, and they felt compelled to arrive, and those are the people that I
Yeah.
think needed to sound in. But there's also a silent majority that they may complain, or there's a sentiment about the city, and you may never know, and they have a chance to voice their opinion, but it's just kind of muttering, and you know, it doesn't get put forth, I guess, right? It's hard to know what the constituents are thinking a lot of times.
Yeah, so underneath it, you have to believe in, I think, two things. You have to believe in like the power of community, and that it actually is something that we all kind of want and crave. I mean, not everyone. Like some people want to live in more isolation, and I get that. But like I think if you're interested in government, and for me, like I do love being in community. And that could be a lot of things. It could just be going grocery shopping with my kids. But like I do love that. And then you have to love your city. And I think that part is about love, meaning that you fundamentally like it, but you also know it could be better.
Okay.
And so it's that desire to try and make a difference
Yeah.
that's underneath the kind of vocational calling.
I think that was a Robert F. Kennedy said, if you want to make changes, is to change locally. It would make the biggest impact you can make is being a city commissioner and mayor.
I believe it, actually.
Yeah.
But,
Well, one of the things I find interesting and fascinating is, you know, when I was a baseball player, same when you were a hockey player and a coach, it's like your day was completely planned out for you, from breakfast to lunch to dinner, everything. The bus leaves at this time, we have practice at this time. Take us through a day of the life of a mayor, because I would imagine you have a whole staff that has every minute scheduled. And what is that like on a day off when you have, oh shit, I got to come up with my own day now? Do you ever get that? Like, who's planning this for me?
I mean, one thing is, so there's a couple of basics. Like I'm usually scheduled in 15-minute increments, which is really short. So then you get behind fast, and then you realize that you can't schedule that tight, but like you're constantly sort of jamming in more, and then the next 2 days trying to relax it. So there's a lot of fluctuation in the schedule. And then I try and make sure that I'm outside of City Hall the majority of the time. So that could be doing all sorts of things like meeting with community groups, or it could be checking on different city sites. So the other balance is I try and make sure like I am not in the office, all the time. I'm out in the community. But you got to balance those. And even on a given day, so what that means, I mean, this morning we were, here's the gamut of things we were working on. We're trying to think through what are the best ways that we can defend funding that we're losing from the federal government. So that's like an internal meeting. But then there was talking with a bunch of construction folks about issues they're having at construction sites with respect to crime. And so this was a meeting that we had. But then also as part of that, we had to like finalize some colors on a new youth shelter that people were arguing about the colors. And so it's like, we got to settle this color thing. So like, there's also fun stuff that gets tucked in between too. And then, you do, as you're driving too, you try and make the best use of car time. So you're constantly on the phone, trying to do all like the little things, and you're checking in with different people. And so then you're also like, I'm checking in with my wife about like, hey, how are we handling, getting the kids from summer camp and stuff like this.
How does she handle your schedule?
So, well, I mean, we use Outlook religiously. So,
You
you
have
you have a little IT helper
I would
solution.
be divorced then.
Yeah, there's a little, I mean, the amount of time we spend like on scheduling is a big thing.
So how big is your staff that handles the scheduling for you?
So you just have one scheduler. So
wow.
it's just one person. Yeah. And but that's kind of it's an interesting dynamic because they know more about your life than yours.
Where am I headed? Where am I going?
How many times a day do you go, and what are we doing?
And then there's a lot of like, there's some signing stuff. So they usually bring in you do have to sign. In Albuquerque, the mayor has to sign on like contracts and all sorts of things. They just require the signature. So you're trying to also read and sign stuff. And then you're trying to also think about like, okay, let's be a little long term. And like today we were thinking about what's our new economic development strategy, because with the new president, the incentives and where New Mexico's like good and bad at have kind of flipped. So without going into too much of it, it's like, we used to be really primed for renewable energy manufacturing. Now I think we're looking at more like things that are related to the labs and more associated with, high technology and aerospace. So, then you're also at the same time trying to think about, okay, how are we going to redirect the job creation effort in Albuquerque? So that's like, those are the things I've been thinking about today.
That's awesome. I mean, you're covering a lot of things on your day-to-day, and I think, there's so many different caveats, like there's, the area Albuquerque Regional Economic Alliance, they're always out there generating and putting out a message for Albuquerque. And I'm sure you work hand in hand as far as, making sure everybody's on the same page about how do we get more jobs in here. And I think we're doing a good job. We've met with them. We met with Danielle Casey before she left, and she's always a wealth of information.
I'm impressed about how many people are as enthused as we are about progress and movement and actually doing something in tangible plans and the inner workings, and we became privy to that from having these guests on the show. And I go, wow, this is happening right now. As we talk, there's people commiserating and making plans and having the same vision that we do. I mean, we're doing a little bit less than them, I think, on the show, but it's impressive I love finding people with the same enthusiasm. You go, yes, there's my guy.
Yeah.
Not it will never work like Eeyore. Oh, it'll never work. Poo. Like it's like get out of there.
Get out of the
so
way.
So many people that are willing to have yeses and participate in stuff that I think there could be a loud minority that makes it seem like there's more oppression or like negativity than there really is. But they can be little chihuahuas, I think, sometimes about their negativity.
They get a loud bark. Yeah, I mean, I would just add that I think it's we all love armchair quarterbacking, and so there's that ideation or kind of problem solving around a table or like with friends. That's important. I think it's what you have to layer in is like actually getting it done. And so, what we've tried to do is take on these massive challenges, like why don't we have a soccer stadium? We've been trying for 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, I think actually our last court battle's finished, and like we're actually going to do that.
That looks great.
Only took us 40 years. And rail yards. Now that's going to be a film academy that C&M's going to run. Hundreds of students are going to be in the rail yards every day. That's going to open this winter. Same thing. Like we were debating over what to do for that forever. So we've really tried to say like, okay, let's just pick the good ideas and let's actually deliver. And it's hard. It's real work. It takes way longer than I wish it would. But those are the things that I think we're starting to see kind of come to fruition. And it's even in like the homelessness space and things like that. Yeah. We've built the gateway system of shelters that now helps 1,000 people every night. That took a long time. Sure. We had nothing like that before. So executing is, I think that's the non-glamorous challenge of public service.
Yeah, ideas are cheap.
Yeah,
how do we get
and
it
it's
on
like,
paper?
how many forums should we have, or how many studies should we do?
What color should we pick?
We got
let's
more
do
information.
7 different
Great,
things,
yeah.
and it'll be awesome. Or let's copy Austin, or like all these different things. And I think what I've really found is like, actually, let's make a few realistic, good bets that are like Albuquerque appropriate. They match our culture and match our city. But then you got to be determined to see them through. Like, I can't tell you how many times people have tried to quit on the stadium. I mean, the voters voted it down. Neighbors don't want it.
Pretty deflating.
But if you ask an everyday person, they're like, yeah, we should do that.
Why not?
And I'm like, you know what? We're going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let that deter. Like, we are going to stay focused and get things done.
That's a pretty big feat to pull that off, right?
It's not done yet.
Yeah.
But the good news is, like, we have a green light for construction.
Okay.
And we've never had that in our city's history.
I have a good feeling about it. And congrats on the path besides the railroad. That's awesome.
The rail trail.
I love that. I'm going to be rollerblading on that. It probably you won't be able to see me. It'd just be a blur, but yeah, I would be on that. I enjoyed the Bosque Trail, and I think there'd be so many participants that they go, oh my gosh, like this maybe word of mouth that say about paths, because that's really what some of the bike paths are, or even the Bosque. Some people don't even know the Bosque path exists until I keep bragging about rollerblading.
Yeah. So you've got a pretty big presence online, obviously being the mayor, social media accounts, you've got, the podcast now, but do you ever take the time, like at night, are you one of the people that sit and actually read the comments people leave about you, about the city, or are you just kind of, I can't deal with that? And if you do read them, is there ever like one that you came across that made you laugh and you're like, actually, that's funny, that's true?
So there's a saying like, don't read the comments, like just for your own sanity. And but what I do, I try at least once a week. I do not every day, and I definitely don't before I go to bed.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, every week, usually on the weekends, like I will catch up on because I'm actually very disciplined about not being on my phone all the time. Like I want to be with people. And whether it's in a meeting or whether it's in public, walking down the street, I don't want to be like that guy on the phone or staring at my phone. So I try and be very present in general. And so I have to do the reverse of most people, which is I have to force myself. And but I do for a couple hours on the weekends. And I look at the comments. And, I think what is amazing to me is I do have like this cadre of trolls. And like, they are so predictable. I mean, I can tell you what their comments are going to be, and some of them are very funny. And my favorite are the GIFs, I think, or the GIFs.
Yeah.
They do, and it just depends on what movie they pick, but a lot of them are kind of 80s or 90s. They're kind of my era.
You like
And
their,
some of
you
them
like
are
their style.
hilarious.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I can get there.
So
You don't
I'm
forget to diss
down
me.
with the GIFs. You can GIF me all you want. And then, the other ones are just so, it's like the most obvious comment I'll tell you. I could say like, it's raining in the Sandias and there's like a double rainbow and post a picture of that just because that's what people do because it's like cool. I mean, meaning like we think it's cool to live here and it's beautiful. Guaranteed comment. So what about your rainbow? What are you doing about blank? Or it's
stole
like,
my
my
car.
mom turned 100. So what about your mom? Like, laced with like cuss words. Like those, and it is funny because it is so predictable.
Or tax dollars at work and a rainbow picture.
Exactly. Here we
What?
go. Yeah. What's this guy doing? He's not at work.
You can never win.
How like it's out my window.
Of community stuff, what did you do? Okay, I'm going to tell you I'm an Eagle Scout too. So when I keep finding this stuff out,
Oh, wow.
Because it's a
What was your
dying
Eagle?
breed.
What was your Eagle project?
You're going to like this. So I took 87120. I took a fire hydrant map, and I found other ones that weren't on there. I painted them all yellow, and I added to the map of the city to revise like where the fire hydrants were missing.
That's a very good one.
Thank you. Yeah.
Changed my life, that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to be running for mayor for another 10 years, so you
Wow.
are safe.
Wow.
No,
Yeah,
so
seriously.
what did you do for
That
yours?
changed the world, man. Well, there was a trail, a jogging path in Tejeras open space, which is like, up in Tejeras. And they had a gravel jogging trail that went through like a tribal burial site or like a sacred site. And it was so counterintuitive because they wanted you to remove the trail. So I had to like take off like a foot of gravel and then reseed it. And so it was interesting. Like I was getting rid of a trail instead of making one. And every now and then I go back up there and basically here's what happened for like 5 years. I was like, wow, there's like a meadow and it's beautiful and it's returned to nature. And then it like rained twice. That trail is still there.
Yeah.
And I think like 9 Eagle projects. Like,
Really?
It is shockingly hard to remove a gravel jogging path. So that was mine.
Did you go to?
It was
did
a
you
lot
go to-
less interesting than yours.
Did you go to Philmont?
I did.
Yeah.
In fact, I worked there.
Whoa.
I got to tell you, like, another episode. Working at Philmont is like, it's like working at the beach water park. Like the after hours is totally different. You can hike off trail, and you're eating all the pound cake. These are like Philmont jokes. Because like you had to eat all this camper food, but the pound cake was amazing.
You saved that
was
for
like your
last.
special
Yeah.
treat.
You bring all
You'd
the
have pound
food with
cake
you.
every day with
Yeah.
your staff.
Yeah, access the key to the cupboard.
Yeah. And all these like hidden camps. You're like, there's a road that gets there, and so you could just like,
These are those little kids are like,
Love
hey,
it.
we're gonna hike our way up. There would be snow at some parts in Cimarron, and you would go, I went that far up. You would tell your friends, I went that far up, and I carried all my food. I actually saw a bear probably from here to the wall.
Oh, yeah?
And they tell you, bang pots and pans, but I'm not armed with pots and pans, right? The kid's not walking around with this. You take them off
That's a
your
good
hip
point.
and ding, ding, ding. So you just sit there going, please don't be hungry. Please don't be a cub around. Yeah. But I'm here, and I did not fight the bear. I don't have this grandiose tail, but luckily he didn't want to eat me.
Well, one big thing that's happening in Albuquerque is Paul McCartney's first ever Albuquerque show. Legendary rocker Paul McCartney announced his 2025 Got Back North American tour coming to Albuquerque.
Let's get him on the show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm sure we'll easily make
It's
this.
a next step.
Sir Paul McCartney, he's coming on the show. Episode 105.
No, but that's exactly.
I love it.
But that's great though. I mean, because we saw Paul, and here's let me tie this whole story in. So I got to see Paul McCartney in San Diego at Petco Park, and it was sold out. We were sitting on the field, and we bought the most expensive tickets we could, and we were literally like I think row 7. And why it's funny is because he was up there rocking out, and I was just turned around and looked around, and there was the mayor of San Diego, and his tickets were 5 rows behind me, and I was like, I got the better tickets than the mayor.
That sounds like a La Cueva bragging. We got more money than the mayor. Oh, okay.
But no, I think that's great. So do you take advantage of any of the concerts down at Isleta?
I love heavy metal, which some people know. If you hashtag Metal Mayor, there's all sorts of me stage diving. I'm not kidding. Suicidal Tendencies 2 weeks ago. And,
What?
This
guy's blowing my mind.
And I don't do a lot, but like I go to 4 or 5 shows a year. And I'll do a little crowd surfing. I'll pop in the pit for like 2 minutes because then I get tired because I'm old. And
This is something else.
so so I skew very hard music. I mean, compared to the mainstream.
Right.
So And so, yeah, 2 weeks ago, I was at Suicidal Tendencies down at El Rey. And so I go to shows a lot. Not as many it is Letta, only because there's not as many heavy metal shows.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, you know, I was at, I think it was Pantera last year.
Rebel has some stuff. Danny's son was the
Yeah.
captain of my hockey team, and what a great venue he has, right?
Yeah.
They got their metal fixes there.
It's awesome. No, I'm there quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
And that's a great asset for Albuquerque and on the former spot of the beach water
That's
park.
right.
So
Your old
I'm
stomping
partial to
grounds.
it.
That's a burial area too.
And,
yeah.
But his whole setup I love. Like, it has brought so many more shows.
And something that
And-
people said wouldn't work, and they told him it wouldn't work
Yeah,
there. How are you
yeah.
going to get people in there? And what's great is he has a connection to all the band. I would like you to tell us the next one you're going to, so we could actually see you.
I wanna
stage
go mosh,
diving.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll be in there with you.
I mean, there are a ton coming. So there's like Trivium is coming, Cavalera. I mean, you may not know any.
These
of
are
those.
heavy.
I'm waiting for Cannibal
And then
Corpse.
Pantera is coming. I think Judas Priest is coming, and you know I'll try and go to all. Probably make half those shows.
Yeah.
But starting in August, there's a bunch. Biohazard is coming. It's a packed slate.
Do you
in
do
the fall,
do
so.
the surfing locally? I mean, is that something you feel safe doing, like
Crowd surfing.
letting people see you surf
Well, I mean, you don't
locally?
really like. You're just kind of caught up in the mud. Like, it just happens. I mean, there's not a lot of premeditation.
There's an art
Sometimes
to
you
it.
don't want to crowd surf, and like it just happens.
You're just trying to get to the bathroom.
Yeah, and so, but you know, the metal community here is actually very small and very tight. And because I've been going to shows most of my life, you see like a lot of old friends, like a lot of friends from high school and things like that. And so I find it actually, it's a good stress release, but it's also, you just take off the public service hat. And like,
Yeah.
I'm just there to see
I'm
metal.
glad you're able to let go.
Yeah. And actually the people are very, like, they may not like me at all. They may hate me as mayor or think I am not good or whatever. But everyone there's a respect in metal. I think it's like, if you took the time out of your day, also depending on your age, you know, but like if you're still going to a thrash metal show, you know, like we're cool for tonight.
How can that not be your guy, right?
yeah,
I mean, we're guys tonight. You like the same thing? Maybe I like
So people
you.
are great. They're very supportive. Yeah.
Let me ask you this as we start to wrap up. We always preach your Housing Forward initiative. Obviously, working in real estate, that's always been a big thing with casitas. We always put out the word, and you know, I love the fact that you guys have approved plans and streamlined process.
Oh, good.
Have you guys? Do you have any info on that? Have you seen an uptick in people trying to build casitas? Because I know that I would love to do one, but I've got an HOA in a smaller backyard. But
Yeah. So the downside, so two things. One is the downside is we have not seen a lot of growth of casitas. And we have these prefab plans, but now what we're trying to do is have pre-certified vendors who prefabricate the casita. So there's this one guy, I forget the name of the company, which is probably good, but in a sense that there is a gentleman in Corrales. He actually 3D prints casitas.
Yeah.
And he'll print them in a day. And you know, they do the hookups basically in about 2 weeks. You can have a fully ready to go casita.
oh, when you said 3D printing, I thought it was
And,
like a little model, and you can. But
No,
it's like a full thing.
He builds scaffolding over your backyard,
And then-
there's like a printer that prints, and it looks like Adobe,
Concrete,
but
yeah.
in his case, it's like kind of strips, and he like prints it,
Yeah.
and builds your house. It's incredible, and it works with utilities and all this other stuff.
Right.
So this is the next step that we're trying to do, and there's other ones that you can order like. Okay, what if there's just 10 designs and they just actually truck it in? So it's sort of like a mobile home, but not.
Don't they do the cherry picker thing, right? Where they live they lift it over the house. We had
Yes,
them,
you can do that too,
Is it
yeah.
Echo?
And then you plug it into the foundation.
Eco-mods.
Eco-mods is what we had. And
So we really want to support those. They're cheaper and they're faster, and we think that's going to really get around the problem folks are having, because that actually is an issue: is how to get construction crews in your backyard.
Right, yeah.
So prefab is a much better way to go. So that's kind of the next step, and then also, you know, we continue to support density. So we're adding, you know, you can build higher around transit nodes.
exactly.
We talked about that on the show last week.
Yeah, that's really important because our city, you know, when you think about it, other than Mesa del Sol, we're actually like really hemmed in.
We are.
You have, you know, whether it's tribal lands or government lands, and we also have plenty of flat, empty Mesa land, like just in the middle of the city. Not open space, but just, you know, here's just the dirt lot that I used to play in, you know. And so incentivizing that for housing is really important. And so we're trying to really work on infill. So this month at City Council, look for several new pieces of legislation actually to continue
great.
to sort of upgrade the zoning, like literally up.
And the
Yeah.
problem with urban sprawl is the infrastructure that's involved, right? So people go, oh, make it another lane, make it another lane. It's like you can only do that so many times before we attack the actual problem, right? I mean,
Yeah, and it costs us more.
Yeah.
Those lanes cost taxpayer money. Yeah.
And no one's ever happy about the orange bills anyways. Yeah.
Well, listen, as we get wrapping this up, just the viewers want to know, what's a recent moment that just reminded you why you do this? Why do you be the mayor of Albuquerque?
You know, one amazing thing about mayoring is like a verb, and all the mayors say this, Albuquerque ones, past, present, and other cities, you can't escape as mayor. Like everywhere you go, gas pump, like people are letting you know. But what's amazing is some people, like, they will just tell you straight up, like so the example I will give you is it was raining, and my mom brought in, someone was out in front of their house under their tree, because they live really close to Montgomery, so a major street. And so, because my mom, she's like, she's in her mid 80s, so she like has them in for tea, because that's what she does. And anyway, I hear the story. And then she tells me, and she's like, hey, this woman lives at the Gateway, and she was out interviewing for a job. And so I'm gonna give her a ride like to the bus stop to get back to the Gateway. And I was like, wow. I was like, there's so many things in there, right? She has a place, the Gateway, that implies she was homeless, right? That's why she's at the Gateway. We're helping her. Also, she's getting a way out. She's interviewing for a job. And then oddly, just as a person, I'm like, wow, my mom like connected the dots with something that I've been working on, which was like really cool. Yeah. And so that's just one example. That was incredible.
Well, Tim, we wish you the best of luck on the upcoming election. I really appreciate you stopping by. I mean, this has been just awesome getting to know you, and I think that was the idea here.
And our offer still stands. We will pump your tires so it doesn't look like you're bragging, and that's fine. We'll brag for you. You just need 15 seconds.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim Keller. Appreciate it. 100th episode. And you can catch us every weeknight, or every Wednesday night, and then Sunday morning on the Education Channel, worldwide on YouTube. This is all about you.
Everyone's a love.
ABQ.
Go Lobo Hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're watching YouABQ.